Hey everybody, and welcome to the Electric Van Man review of the Citroen Berlingo. This is a cracking addition to the range, only recently on the market. It's come from the Stellantis Group. The Stellantis Group are a group of companies formerly known as PSA and were Peugeot and Citroen, but now are Peugeot, Citroen, Vauxhall and in addition Fiat, all under one umbrella. In this case, we've got the Citroen. Now there is a Peugeot version, there will be a Fiat version, and there is a Vauxhall version. There is also a version from Toyota as well, who buy the vehicle from the Stellantis Group and market it as their own. So today we're going to go into the Citroen and have a look through that, and we will get a few of the others over the course of time in different models and different variants. The Citroen Berlingo is at home in the industrial environment of the industrial parks across the UK, but just as likely to be being plugged in outside a jobbing builder or butcher or baker or candlestick maker. People that run these vehicles are both in the corporate world or in the self-employed world. First of all, it's a good, solid looking vehicle. It sort of lacks any kind of glorious finesse or particular presence, but it just is solid. Good, solid grey bumpers, fog lights and parking sensors and daytime running lights, and the standard Citroen lines that you would expect to see on the Citroen Berlingo. Now, the Citroen Berlingo has been a very popular vehicle over the years. Many jobbing builders and plumbers and electricians over time have found this an absolute staple of their business, both in the new market but also in the second-hand market. Lots of facilities companies and engineers and construction companies and civils all take these size of vehicles in big numbers. So why should they take the Citroen Berlingo? So the Citroen Berlingo that I've got here is the M version. So this is the middle one, not the shortest and not the longest. This vehicle comes with an 800 plus kilo payload. It's a reasonably sized 3.3 cubic meters in the back. But there are some helpful enhancements that make this vehicle a real treat in terms of flexibility. One of the features I really quite like about this Citroen Berlingo is this lovely, very large load-through bay, which also doubles as a place to put the cable if you haven't got it stuck. So, to continue the thought, all you need to do is pull a blue tag just here on the seat, and the seat folds almost flat, helpfully releasing the cable, but giving a very large load through area and nice and flat, and also cleverly thought of a bit of steel to run things across. So there's been a lot of thought gone into that, but even better than that, you can put that back and then lift that up out of the way, giving you a completely empty space here. So the Citroen Berlingo has 60/40 split doors. They open up initially at 90 degrees, but with a press of a button, you're able to extend that out to 180 degrees, which allows you to bump up to your depot loading point and load with a forklift without having to worry about those doors in the way. Inside, you've got 3.3 cubic meters of load space, lots of anchor points dotted around the vehicle on the floor, but on the sides and on the back as well, which is really helpful, meaning no matter what load that you've got in the back, you can be sure to anchor it safely for the journey ahead. Talking of load capacity, it is always really important to get that load capacity right. And how do we really know apart from itemizing every piece? Well, helpfully, Citroen have given us a load monitor So it will tell us when we're overloaded, which I think is a fantastic little feature. So what about the area? 3.3 cubic meters, is that impinged by the battery? No, the battery goes under the floor. And talking of the battery, it's a 50 kilowatt hour battery in this vehicle. So what does that give me? It gives me around 171 miles range. Now that means that you're driving it probably in one of the three modes that are most range effective, and that's the eco mode. And then even then driving pretty carefully. Range is of course affected by us, the drivers, but also it's affected by the temperature, and if it's particularly cold, then you can expect to see a reduction of anything up to 10, 15 or even 20% in terms of the range that you've got. The vehicle should have been measured with around somewhere between 200 and 400 kilos in this particular vehicle. And for every extra 100 kilos that you put in this vehicle, you can expect to lose maybe 2% of range that you have available to you. So it's always worth thinking through every eventuality so that you can get the right calculations, so that you know whether or not you're going to need that fast charge along the way, and of course this vehicle does give that, or whether you can get your day's work done in just one operation. So when it comes to charging, the Citroen Berlingo has all the credentials you need. Has standard 7.4 AC charging, and you can also, if you have access to three-phase electricity, upgrade that to the 11 kilowatt charging. But when it comes to DC charging, a 0 to 80% charge in around 30 to 35 minutes on a DC charger. Now that is good news when you're in a van and you've only got a few minutes to get topped up and get on to the next job. However, if I'm in my van and I'm charging, I might want to nip out and get something. And that's where it all goes wrong. It's a little thing, but whilst you're charging, you can't open the side door. And that, for me, is a problem. It's a small problem, but it means I've got to think where I put my goods or my tools that I'm going to need, maybe whilst I'm stopped charging. So, is the Citroen Berlingo a nice place for a driver to be? The answer is yes from me. Gone are the days when you climbed into a Citroen thinking, oh gosh, it's a bit flimsy, oh, it's a bit of a Citroen. No, it's not like that. And of course, the saying is now, who builds a bad van? Well, it's probably true in this particular case. Lovely solid steering wheel, a nice high driving position. Actually, I really enjoy that as I've been driving around. Even though this is the small van, it's still quite big and chunky from that height perspective. Also, as I go around, I've got hard wearing plastics and all the storage that I need. Thinking about my water bottle tucked away nice and easy in the side there. Also a little odd pocket that I'm not really even sure why it's there. But when I get to all the other areas of storage, up here above me, I've got plenty of room for my paperwork, places for the phone, places for other bits of paper or delivery notes that I might need, and of course places for my McDonald's coffee, which I happen to love. So what about the binnacle? It's a really nice, simple to use space. All the controls that I need are here on the steering wheel, and I can run through the display so that I get the information that's good for me. Easily selectable, volume controls and voice activation for the phone. I can set my phone up through the infotainment system. This particular vehicle has the sat-nav, the additional sat-nav, and that's okay in terms of its responsiveness, but it'll certainly get me to where I need to be. Coming on down, of course, I've got air conditioning, which seems to be standard on any electric vehicle today, but not necessarily on all the ICE counterparts, the internal combustion engine versions. And then, of course, we get to my pet hate. And my pet hate is this gear selector area where the buttons don't really suit my way of changing gear. I much prefer either a gear stick to grab and select, a bit old-fashioned perhaps, a bit of a dinosaur perhaps, but certainly is what suits me, or even the selectors that twist. But we've got what we've got, and if I was given this vehicle, I'd be very, very happy with it, and I would soon get used to that, I'm sure. Also, we've got selectable drive modes, 3 different effectively brake horsepower measures that adjust the amount of power that I've got. And talking of power, this vehicle will do 0 to 62 in 9 seconds. That's pretty rapid. But that's not all, folks. Of course, a van is a workspace, a working environment, and the Citroen Berlingo has thought about that. The simple pull of a blue cord turns this vehicle into a very comfy little office with a movable tablet which will allow you to turn it around, do your paperwork, or even get on your laptop. And helpfully, in line with the laptop, they've given us a plug, and away you go. So you won't get hindered by those no moments where you haven't got any charge on the vehicle. So this is a very flexible area, as we've seen with the load through systems. It's got all the storage that we could ever really hope for, and it's actually a really nice place to be. I've even got a place to hang my coat on the back here with some coat hooks helpfully put on the bulkhead. So what about my time with the Citroen Berlingo? Well, I have to say I've really liked it. I've been actually quite surprised at how much I like it. I like the fact that it's got those 3 seats at the front, which I haven't mentioned until this very point, but you probably picked up that there were 3 seats. It's a little tight, I have tried it, but that is a good feature. It's a good stocky looking van, and these little twirl, and that's what they're called, yeah, twirl wheel trims are a nice feature. But it's got all of the things that we would expect to hope for on a van in terms of the front parking sensors, rear parking sensors and cameras, allowing us to maneuver effectively through our day's work. 3.3 cubic meters and 800 kilos of payload mean that this little vehicle can get a day's work done. In terms of the range and the battery capacity, it is more than adequate for most of our jobs being over 150 miles in the WLTP world. But bear in mind, always focus on what is likely to be your toughest day, which is a heavy load in the middle of winter. That will bring it down somewhat. But careful driving and monitoring your drivers will definitely make a difference to that. A couple of things that really got up my nose. Well, I think you probably gathered it right, which was this charging piece here, which was a little bit annoying in that I couldn't open my side door with the charging going on. Other than that, there's not really a lot to complain about this vehicle. Now, you might find something, put it in the comments below, and if you've liked the video, please do like, subscribe and comment. It all helps promote electric vans and support the channel. We want to get more electric vans on the road so that they can support air quality and good health in our local environments, but also to deal with what is a climate emergency. That said, only ever get an electric van if it's fit for a purpose within your business. This has been the Citroen Berlingo, the eBerlingo. I'm going to give it a bit of a thumbs up.